I found myself into my 40s, a belly dance teacher, and then a professional belly dancer. I'm not dead yet. I'm far from it. I'm far from it.
I normally don't do Zoom interviews because I like to be live and in person and interactive with my subjects. But in this episode, I am making an exception because I'm interviewing a beautiful woman who is rocking her next chapter all the way over in Israel. I'm here with Yael. She is over 60. And does so many amazing things. So welcome to We're Not Dead Yet around the world. So tell me about where you live first.
Hi. So thank you for having me, Nitima. This is great. I really love it. I love the name of your channel. I love the show. And I'm not dead yet. I'm far from it. I'm far from it. My name is Yael. That's how you pronounce it.
Yes.
And I'm from Israel. And I live in the northern part of Israel, in between the two major cities. It's Tel Aviv on the one hand and Haifa on the other hand. And I live in a village not far from the coast, which is very important for me. Nitima knows why. So
yes, we will.
Yeah.
We will get
so I
to
live
that.
in a village. I moved here 3 years ago. I lived in a coastal town before that. So I've been living in this area for about 20 years now. And before that, I was in Jerusalem. And before that, when I grew up, it was in Tel Aviv and vicinity.
And did you have a career, an initial career coming out of school?
Let's start with my 20s. And in my 20s, I used to do, initially, I was a tour guide, a tour leader. And I used to work mostly with the school system. And then I became a spokesperson. That was my early 30s when I turned 30. And I was I'm an assistant spokesperson, and then I was a spokesperson for the Association for Civil Rights in Israel. So I was an activist, and I'm still an activist. Yeah, in one way or another, I'm still an activist. And in my mid-30s, I said, what am I doing here? I don't like this job. I don't want to be a spokesperson. I hate the fact that I need to go after journalists, and I'm a rather introvert. So it was very hard for me to pick up the phone and say, hi, I have a great lead for you or whatever, I would rather write the newsletter and just send it to them. I would fax it. It was in the 90s, early 90s. I would fax it over to them. So that was my career initially. And when I decided that I don't want to do that, I went back to school and I studied filmmaking.
Wow.
So I did a short course, not a 4-year degree, but something like 2 years, but I got the rudiments of what to do. Mm-hmm. And, but it was still mid-90s and there wasn't much to do. I could, in Israel at the time had only one channel. And then we started a second channel, TV. Like there wasn't much work. Cable TV was just starting to come out. And so I put it aside, and instead I followed something that I've been doing a little before, and that was research, especially curatorial research for museums. So that was something that I had for quite a while. I've been doing content of sorts most of my life, either as a tour leader or a guide in a museum. And then I would research for the exhibitions, and it just evolved one after the other. So yeah, this is what I did. And when I hit 40, I kind of hit a brick wall, because I was working on a project for about 5 years and it shut down. And I suddenly found myself without a job. And then I got another curatorial job, like in a museum. And after a year, it ended. And I said, okay, what am I going to do now? But what I've been doing those years is, when I finished film school, I needed something to move. I needed to move. I felt like I needed to move. And I went to a belly dance class. And
how did you pick belly dancing?
Years earlier, when I was a tour leader, I had a lecture about Islamic art by a young doctor at the Hebrew University. She went to get her degree in the States, and she came back, and she brought with her belly dancing as well. She was doing Islamic art, and she was really attached to Islamic culture. And she studied belly dance in the States. And she when she was doing her lectures in Israel, she said, I want people to understand that this is an art form. And she would, by the end of her Islamic art or architecture, it was a lecture, it's very academic. She would go change her clothes and come back a belly dancer. And I saw her and I was enchanted. It was really, so I don't know, it's kind of something stuck in my head that I want to do it. And it was the late 90s. So in Israel, there were very few teachers. And I actually found the niece of that woman, and she opened a school, a belly dance school. And I just went. And after a year, she told me, Yael, she had a troupe. And she said, I have a special class for the troupe, because it's more advanced level. And I said, but her name was also Yael. I said, Yael, I'm not going to be a belly dancer. Why should I take this class? And he said, you're talented. You will enjoy the class. Come join it. So I joined. I never intended. I never even thought about it. And but then a few years passed, and I moved to this part of the country, out of Jerusalem to this part of the country, to the north. I had no job, no connections, nothing, but I knew how to do two things. I knew how to teach. I was a tour guide and a tour leader, and a lot of informal teaching, and I knew how to belly dance. So I asked her for some lessons layouts, and she gave me a few, and I built on that. And I found myself into my 40s, a belly dance teacher, and then a professional belly dancer.
And you still do this?
Very rarely. Now, I think coronavirus kind of, I used to do a lot of workshops, but it's not in my passion anymore. I still dance, but I dance flamenco. I don't.
When did you shift into flamenco?
5 years ago. And I still have my dance troupe. We do a mixed sort of, we call it ethnic dance. It's Middle Eastern, but it's fusion. I do a lot of stuff with them. And since the pandemic, we stopped training.
In addition to the dancing, you took up a new sport at what age?
That's 6 years ago. I'm 62, so that was yeah, 56 or 7.
Yeah,
I don't remember what.
yeah. And tell us about that sport.
I picked up paddleboarding. That's why I like to live by the coast, because I'm close to the Mediterranean Sea. And I love walking on the beach. For years, I've been doing that. And I would see them. It's a rather new sport. People did not paddleboard. But I mean, 10 years ago, I think it was hardly known. And before that, people would just surf, go on the surfboarding. And about 10 years ago, I started seeing them. It became, we sweep the water, sweep the sea. And and then I realized that one of my belly dance friends was actually a leader of one of those. She was the guide. She was the instructor, the instructor of this of a group of women who did paddleboarding. And I used to say, okay, I'm going to join you one day. I'm going to join you one day. And then one birthday, I said, I'm going to join you today. And I called her, and I came. And it took a lot of courage. The Mediterranean Sea, I've sent you a few videos of the calm sea, but it's really very tricky. The seas, today I just came back for a paddleboarding session because the sea was rough this winter. We didn't have that many days, because sometimes you see that it's rather flat, but the wind is so strong, you cannot paddleboard. You have to fight the wind. So today there were perfect conditions. So come whatever comes today, I took an hour and I went.
You're like a surfer. When the waves are up, they go.
They go. That's
your
it. So when
case,
the waves
it's
are down,
calm,
I go. Yeah.
you go. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. And what does that sport give you? How do you feel when you're doing that sport?
I think the sense of empowerment that you get, one of the things you have to conquer is the fear of the water, of the depth. And today, the sea was clear. I could see the bottom. Mostly you can't see it. So you don't know what's lurking under the water. And facing the fear of something lurking down there, you don't know what it is. And just doing it. And then the fear of falling into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started doing it, I was falling a lot because I wasn't very stable. And I think now one thing that I mastered over the past year, my instructor, she closed her club. It was a club, and she actually sold all the paddle boards, and I bought one. I used to hire it from her.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so now I have one at my disposal whenever I want, and to go alone on the sea and just go into the water and just get some distance from the shore, not to go along the shore, 100 meters, 200 meters from the shore, but go further in and just, it was something, the first time I did it, I was so proud of myself. Now I see it as a no-brainer, but the first time I was really proud of myself. So I overcome my fear every time. It just clears my mind. It clears my mind. It resets me. And I was very tired today.
You also have an art studio in your home. How long have you been painting?
Less than 10 years.
Also another chapter.
Also in my 50s, also in my 50s.
What led you to try it? What led you to try
I
it?
think it started with mandalas first. I was at the time I was a member of an international networking organization, which is called BNI. I think you know that, Business International.
I don't.
Business Networking International.
Okay.
It's an international organization with chapters in over 50 countries, maybe 60, maybe 70. I mean, thousands of chapters. And then I became a management, part of the management, and it's mostly volunteer work. You get compensated with peanuts, really.
Right.
But the first day I went, I knew that I had a manager, and she was responsible for the whole area. And she used to talk about the fact that she's teaching mandalas, and nobody understood. I never understood what she was talking about. And then one day I went into her house, and I saw a big painting of a mandala right when you enter. And I said, I want to do it. I want to do it. So she taught me the basic, the basic pattern. And I just started doing it. Initially I would paint them, I use a compass and pencils and colored pencils. And then I said, hey, I want to do a canvas. And I have one canvas here to show you. Okay.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. So for instance, I had to teach myself how to do this pattern because so I said I never held a brush in my hand, never. And I didn't know how. I remember like going into YouTube and how to do gradation, how to do stuff. And these are one of my early ones, but I love it. So it has a very
the colors are beautiful.
place in my house. And I started filming a friend of mine who is a painter. And I don't know if you see the paintings behind me. Can you see them?
I do.
Yeah, you see them. So she painted me. She
Dancing.
was also, I met her on BNI. She was a painter, and she I think the first figurative paintings that she started doing, she was doing it before, but she wanted to paint people. So she took pictures of me and she painted these two. And I was not the only one. And then she decided to start teaching online. And I filmed, we haven't spoken about the fact that I'm a videographer now,
yes,
but
yes.
I started teaching.
Because you went to film school, so.
So I'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I started teaching, filming her, filming, editing. So I learned just by looking. And then I went to her workshop and I painted, like I was amazed that I knew how to paint a face. And
that's amazing to me.
And that's how I started painting. And so I have a digital course about mandala paintings. I haven't marketed it much, but it's there.
So what other kinds of things do you film?
I do. It's either that, sometimes stage shows, because I'm a dancer, and my colleagues would ask me to come and film their shows. Video clips, and mainly for businesses. That's what I do. I mean, people, even talking heads, or recipes, or things that now do a lot of stuff for social media.
Yeah.
Because when people want to do that, I do that. But I think making a digital course, like a painting a digital course, it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
I can imagine. I can
Yeah,
imagine.
this is, imagine the process, because she needs to stand there, she needs to paint, and then you have to edit out or all the things that you don't need to see, but you have to know what you need to see. Yeah, and her courses are long, and that's why I learned how I learned how to paint.
By
By
watching,
watching.
by filming the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
That's
you
how, I
clearly.
mean, instead of watching her online.
What's next, Yael? Are you
Whoa.
done exploring new realms?
I'm launching a podcast,
Oh,
which
wonderful.
will also be on YouTube, and it's called Awaken and Uplift the Creative Spirit. So I want to, it will be mostly about how to live our lives creatively, and I'm going to interview women in midlife who do something, who twist the plot, or do something very creative. So it started with me interviewing creatives, and then I understood it's not just creatives, it's living your life creatively, and I'm twisting it a little.
I love it.
So this is the next chapter. I want to create my own tribe. In the past, I had a tribe of dancers. Now I want to have a tribe of women, and we'll dance together to our next level.
Well, I am glad to be in your remote tribe.
You are.
I'm in the Atlanta branch of your tribe.
Yeah, mostly it will be international. Awaken and Uplift the Creative Spirit will be in English, and it's not in Hebrew.
Well, Yael, I am so grateful to you for sharing your story and your beauty and your creativity. And I know that you will continue to bring those stories and stories of other women with your new podcast. And I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. When? Are you asking me when am I going to launch it?
Yes. When are you going to launch it?
A month ago.
I get it. Well, so thank you. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see this movie.
Yes, I will get it edited. You know how that goes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Yael. We will talk soon.
Yes, we will, and we'll meet on Clubhouse.
Yes, I'll see you there. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.